Crown of thorns, Euphorbia milii. It's an attractive, drought-tolerant succulent shrub that produces lovely flowers year-round. Keep watching this video and we will show you how to propagate it and how to make the most of it in your home and garden. Here is our small collection of crown of thorns. There are 4 types here. But of course our favorites are the hybrids, which have much larger, more prominent, colorful flowers. Look at this one. And actually it's a good time to point out that what we call flowers are really the bracts, the outer part of the bloom. The flowers are those small pretty things in the middle, but we consider the entire package as the flower, and for that reason we can admire the crown of thorns from afar. When we're ready for a new plant, whether as gifts or to extend our own collection, we tend to use the larger plants as stock plants and take cuttings from that. Crown of thorns propagate fairly easily from stem tip cuttings, and that's what we'll be demonstrating next. But just to point out, some of these calloused over stems, cuttings were removed from them about 2 months ago. And for our propagation demonstration today, we're going to be taking cuttings from 2 other plants. And just to mention, with the taking of cuttings from plants is an opportune time to prune the plant. So we're not taking the cuttings at will or at random. We're looking to see the shape of the plant and removing those that will improve the appearance and the shape of the plant after we're done. And with crown of thorns, we're looking to make the cut just above where you see leaves. All right, so these leaves will continue to grow and to produce a plant, but this cutting is a little long. And to minimize the flow of sap, you place it soon after in cold water. You keep it in the water for about 5 minutes and the flow of sap should be significantly reduced. So here again I'm making the cut just above where leaves are, and this is a good size one, no need to trim it again. So after about 15 minutes, these 2 that we just cut, the sap is still there, they're certainly not calloused over as yet. If you stick these to root while the sap is still flowing, you're highly likely to have rotten stems. So what you do is allow 2 or 3 days of air drying for the cut to callus over, and here we are. We took these cuttings similar to the ones we just took today about 3 days ago, and you can see here they're nicely dried, calloused over, perfect for sticking in the media. And I should have mentioned, it goes without saying, these thorns, they're not friendly. So anytime you're handling crown of thorns, it's best that you use protective gear, a thick glove, long sleeves. The propagation media for crown of thorns has to be free draining. And here we're using equal parts of coir, perlite, and river sand. Okay, we've dampened it already, so it is okay to insert it into the medium. Place 3 or 4 cuttings in a pot, just in case one doesn't catch. You're still left with 3 cuttings to give you a nice bushy plant at the end of rooting. Next step, water. And note how quickly the water has drained out of this very well-drained porous mix. And in having the water pour through, it really assures us that there are no dry pockets in the potting soil. After setting your cuttings and watering them, place them in a protected area away from direct sunlight. We were expecting them to root within a 6 to 8 week period, and as a matter of fact, we had set these cuttings 8 weeks ago, and these are what we're going to use now to demonstrate potting up of crown of thorns. Ensure that you have a container that has sufficient drainage holes, and to prevent the potting mix from coming through the holes, today instead of gravel, I'm using just a segment of sheet cloth to keep in the soil. And we're using equal parts of free draining soil, sand, and compost. Next, we dampen the mixture. I never like to put a rooted cutting into dry soil. That's too much of a shock. So dampen the mixture, let it drain for a few minutes. Make your holes so that you don't damage the roots as you place them into the mix. Very carefully. Insert all of the roots firm in place, and then top up with the same potting mixture and complete the watering. We're not putting any nutrients, any fertilizer in this watering, in this first watering, because crown of thorns does not like high nutrient, especially high nitrogen. So the nutrients in the soil and compost should be sufficient to take the crown of thorns through for the first few weeks, and you monitor it, the condition of the leaves, before you add any fertilizer. Now, what we're going to do with this one is to keep the root ball intact and have them all come up in the middle of the pot to give you a different look in your transplanted crown of thorns. In this way also there is less disturbance to the roots, so that is a plus. But you're going to have the plant coming up as if it were essentially one plant with several branches. So good. And it's certainly easier. It's just one step rather than struggling with 3 separate rooted cuttings. We're going to top it up and water it as we did the others. To keep your crown of thorns healthy and blooming for long periods of time, place them in a sunny location. Don't overwater them, and fertilize them only sparingly. You may also keep your crown of thorns indoors, but be sure you place them in a location with very bright indirect light. And remember, crown of thorns like low humidity and relatively dry soil. So definitely avoid overwatering and overfeeding, or you may end up with too many leaves and not enough flowers. And of course, the overwatering could result in stem and root rots. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up, tell your friends about it, and if you want more information on propagating crown of thorns and many other plants, you can check out our book on plant propagation, which is available on Amazon and Book Fusion. So until next time, this is Thelma, surrounded by crown of thorns, saying bye-bye.